honestly, Megyn, if you don't like it, I'm sorry. I've been very nice to you, although I could probably maybe not be based on the way you have treated me. I never attacked him on his look, and believe me, there's plenty of subject matter. He wants to be a tough guy. Well, let me talk. Quiet.
Wow, that was almost a decade ago. Welcome back to America Decides. That was Donald Trump back in 2015 and 2016. The now former president holds a commanding lead this summer in the polls, but the question remains in the GOP race, will he attend next week's first GOP debate?
I tell people I've debated Donald Trump 1,000 times, just never with the cameras on. But look, I know the former president, I know everybody on that stage, and I'm looking forward to having a vigorous debate.
I think everybody has a responsibility to show up and debate. I think that that's an important part of the process. And to say that somehow you're above it, I don't think that's what the voters want to hear.
Ashley Etienne and Maura Gillespie join us now. Ashley is a CBS News contributor and the former communications director for Vice President Kamala Harris and former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Maura is the founder of Blue Stack Strategies. She previously served as an advisor to former House Speaker John Boehner and former Congressman Adam Kinzinger. Great to have both of you here for America Decides. Maura, let's begin with you. Former President Trump, your sources in the GOP, your colleagues in that party, what do they think about what he's going to do next week?
He'll likely host his own thing, whether he calls into different shows and complains about the debate or hosts his own on Truth Social or whatever platform he chooses, with maybe Tucker Carlson has been rumored. But I think he'll do his own thing. Obviously, it could be a last-minute decision, but he has made it pretty clear he doesn't see a reason to debate or sign the pledge. So, but I will say, watching that back, I'm really looking forward to him not being on the debate stage, because I'd love to hear about the issues and what each candidate is going to bring to the table as far as how they plan to address the issues facing everyday Americans.
Ashley, if former President Trump doesn't show up, does that take the oxygen out of the debate? Do Democrats see that as kind of a non-event, or will they be paying close attention?
There are a couple of things that I'm actually looking for in this debate, and I think Democrats are looking for as well. One, which is who's going to be the pace setter? Who's going to go out fast and hard to attack Donald Trump, especially if he's not on the stage? And how is that going to set an environment that will enable the other candidates to lean in on him? We know from polling, including CBS's polling, as Maura pointed out as well, that the large majority of Republican primary voters, more than 50%, are persuadable. So Donald Trump can actually lose. So that's what I'm going to be watching. Who's going to go out fast and hard? Here's the other thing I'm going to be watching: whether or not the rest of the candidates attack and attack DeSantis, whether or not they pile on to DeSantis, being he's the strongest number two. And then the third is the person who I'm calling the sleeper, and that's Tim Scott. I think Tim Scott is really surging in a way that people aren't paying much attention to. I think Iowa is a perfect environment for him. He's leaning on his faith. He's got this optimistic vision and message that's resonating with people. So I think it's going to be quite interesting, and I think it's going to be interesting to see how he handles Scott handles Trump and handles DeSantis, especially in Trump's absence. So that's what I'm watching. I don't think oxygen will be out of the room. Really, it's going to position these Republicans to really show the American people how they're going to take on Donald Trump in the next couple races.
Maura, what do you think of Senator Scott? Does he have a real shot in Iowa or not?
I think he does. He is personable. People really enjoy him, people who have worked with him on Capitol Hill, but also you're seeing it in Iowa as he engages with people who are there at the state fair with children. I mean, he is just a likable guy, and he really does bring a lot to the table, not only his legislative acumen, but again, personality-wise, and a personable, relatable story, a really interesting story. And he's just somebody who I think really could make a lot of headway, as Ashley mentioned too, here in this debate. So yes, I think he could really surge, continue the surge.
What about former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie? Maura, you are in New Jersey right now. You know the state well. Is this someone who could really have a moment on the debate stage? He's raising the stakes for himself.
Absolutely. He's been calling out the fact that there aren't more people going directly after Donald Trump and the need to do so. As a party, if we want to win, we have to move beyond Donald Trump. And you're seeing that with polling that's come out. He cannot win in a general election. And this primary, this debate coming up, Christie's going to hone on that. I think he'll really hit Donald Trump hard, and then also call out the other candidates on the stage who haven't done so. And so, yes, I'm looking forward to seeing how Christie performs next week. Again, as a fellow New Jerseyan, he will not be shy about how he feels, and I appreciate that.
Ashley, what do you make of Vice President Harris being a target in so much of the rhetoric from some of these candidates? They're not going after President Biden, but former Ambassador Nikki Haley keeps bringing up Vice President Harris. Governor DeSantis has done the same. You know her world well. What do you make of that kind of talk from Republicans trying to bring her into the spotlight at this moment?
Yeah, I mean, I will quote one of my former bosses, Nancy Pelosi. She used to always say, the reason why they're coming after me is because I'm effective. And I think that's also what you're seeing with Vice President. Here's a couple of things I don't think she's been getting credit for. One is she's taken some really big risk. She went down to Florida and confronted the Republican Party on the issue of race, not just DeSantis, but on the issue of race. And that smoked out Tim Scott. And then Tim Scott came out and criticized the field and DeSantis about this issue. So it enabled him to come out and criticize and really hold the governor accountable for his actions and really raise this issue on a bigger stage. So she's been really taking some really calculated risks, going down to Tennessee, going to Iowa to talk about abortion. And that's when you're the vice president, that's what you have to do. You have to take risks because President Biden needs her not to have a moment, but he needs her to catch fire. And I think she's actually doing that. So I'm not surprised that they're coming after her because she's actually finding her footing and is being incredibly effective in creating value for President Biden.
And Maura, any quick thoughts on that? Why Republicans keep bringing up Vice President Harris?
It's a winning message for Republicans, especially when you're trying to, appeal to the base. She just she's not likable to the Republican Party, and they're never going to get behind her. So if they feel like the threat is that she will become president because of Joe Biden's age, that's a clever tactic for the Republican Party to use because they can rally behind that. If they aren't already rallied behind, they don't want Joe Biden to be president, they'll definitely rally around the fact they don't want Vice President Harris to become president. And
real quick from both of you, Ashley first, then Maura, who do you predict will be one name we'll be talking about next Thursday, a week from today, after the Republican debate? Ashley?
I think you're going to be talking about DeSantis. I don't think he can pull it out. I think we've seen the best that he's got. So I think he's going to continue to, prove this point that the reset is not resetting. So that's who I think we're going to be talking about. And then also, I'm putting money on Tim Scott. I think he's going to surprise us. The advantage that Tim Scott has is he's running from behind. And when you're a candidate at this position, who can attest to that? George W. Bush, Barack Obama, Donald Trump, they were all running behind at this point. So I think he's got the advantage. So those are the two people who I think we'll be talking about.
Maura, close it up for us.
I think Ramaswamy is going to make DeSantis look pretty silly, and that'll frustrate DeSantis. And then I believe Chris Christie will be somebody who will have plenty of zingers that we will remember and talk about on Thursday.
Excellent. Great to have you both here, as always, for your top-rate analysis. Ashley Etienne and Maura Gillespie, two veteran strategists, thank you so much.